Thanks for joining us on part 5 of our delivery flight of the SF50 from the United States to Romania. On this leg, we're going to be heading out to Wick and then heading over to Groningen in the Netherlands, where we're going to clear customs and import the aircraft. So our first leg here is going to take us out of Wick, heading southbound towards Aberdeen and then across the North Sea, heading southbound because we need to avoid some danger areas that are potentially active, just to the north of Amsterdam, and then north-eastbound up in towards Groningen. The weather in Groningen isn't that great. It's about a 400-foot cloud base, might get a little bit lower down to maybe 300-foot cloud base. It's a bit murky and misty, but we should be able to get in there, no problem at all on the RS. Okay, thanks to the guys at Far North Aviation for the coffee, the Kit Kat, and the Scottish banter as always. So we're just heading out to the aircraft now. We got our fuel. Everybody else has gone. The Mustang was heading over to Florida actually, and the Merlin helicopter has also gone as well. So we're just walking out now. Get ourselves in the aircraft. Going to head over to Groningen. It's about 400-foot cloud base over at Groningen at the moment, but and also a temporary period of sort of a broken 200 feet. So hopefully we shouldn't have any problems getting in there. If we do, then we might head down into Münster Osnabrück, possibly if we have to divert. So we'll see how it goes, and going to get in the aircraft and get ourselves launched out of Scotland. Okay, quick look around, make sure everything's good on the aircraft. Quick check of the oil level. Yeah, oil level still looks good for our flight. Make sure there's no chocks. Very windy here now. We pointed the aircraft into wind when we stopped, so to help with the starting of the engine. But everything looks good. There's no chocks, no plugs. AOA is off, and we're ready to go. Good. So we're taxiing out at Wick now, and we're told to go Bravo and then Charlie, enter backtrack for runway 13. Quite a strong crosswind on the way out. It's about a 17 knot crosswind for the departure, which is fine. And we'll get our clearance on our taxi. Trying to always put the control column, the ailerons, into the wind, so we're looking at the windsock there and the wind's blowing from that side, so I'm just trying to put the control column into wind all the time. That just helps with the taxiing. The wind really catches the big V-tail and pushes the aircraft around, so while we're taxiing we're doing that. So strobes are going on now because I'm going on the runway, and we're clear left, we're clear right. The departure briefing is going to be departure at runway 13. We do have a crosswind coming from the left-hand side. Problem on the ground, we're going to close the throttle, we're going to apply the brakes and then close the throttle, come to a stop. If we're in the air with the gear down, we're going to land back on.
November 34 Echo Delta, I have your clearance.
At 34 Echo Delta, go ahead. November 34 Echo Delta, go ahead.
November 34 Echo Delta, after departure, cleared to join controlled airspace, on track Aberdeen, climbing flight level 110, squawk 0576.
November 34 Echo Delta, after departure runway 13, we'll join controlled airspace on track Aberdeen, climbing flight level 110, 0576 is the squawk.
November 34 Echo Delta, correct.
Okay, so that's good. So we're going to go Aberdeen. We have Aberdeen on there, so I'm just going to go direct to and on there. So I'm still going to keep the autopilot in heading mode initially just for our departure, and then I'll do a direct to Aberdeen, and then we'll go on then from there. And then flight level 100, so I'm just going to put, 110, so I'm going to put that 110 in there. Again, I'm going to keep that on the normal setting at the moment for the altimeter setting for the QNH, and then as we climb I'll go on to standard. 0576 is the squawk, so Narcissus has put that in for me.
And so we're just backtracking down the runway. You can see here I've got the chevrons telling me that I'm going the wrong way, and that's the case because I'm backtracking down the runway. And so I finished my departure brief, and then between 600 and 2,000 feet on the rad out, I'm going to pull the parachute if needed, and then above 2,000 feet I'll assess the situation and see if we can come back in for a landing. Good, I can really feel the wind pushing the aircraft around here as it comes from the left hand side. It's always important on the SF50 to hold onto the control column as you're taxiing around, especially in windy conditions, because it actually bangs around quite a lot because it doesn't have the trim cartridges like the SR22s do, so it's actually it moves around a little bit more. So 11:58 is going to be our takeoff time. So landing lights are on. Probe heat I'm going to turn on now as I turn around. Engine IPS, wing stabilizer we don't need. CAS messages are all good. Trim is set at in the green at 4 degrees. Flaps are at 50. There's no takeoff emergency battery warning and configuration. I'm going to go full screen now on there. Zoom that out a little bit. And we should all be good. So coming down to the end of runway 13 here, we do have a displaced threshold, which is nice, which we can use the displaced threshold for takeoff. So I'm going to utilise that all the way down to the end. And you might say, well, I've got enough runway. However, if something did go wrong and you've wasted 100, 200 meters of runway, and you end up going through the fence at the end of the runway, then you've got some space. And also if you need to land back on as well, you've got some space. So it's always good to backtrack and utilise all of the runway that you can. So as I turn around, I'm going to put the ailerons the other way into wind. Expecting the aircraft, once we take off, to pivot itself into wind. And under 3-4 Echo Delta, land up and ready for departure.
November 4 Echo Delta, traffic not yet on frequency, is an opposite direction, S92 helicopter, estimating Wick at time 16, last port at altitude 3,000 feet.
Copy traffic, November 3-4 Echo Delta.
November Echo Delta, runway 13, right turn, surface wind 200 degrees, 15 knots, clear for takeoff.
Right turn, 13, clear for takeoff, November 3-4 Echo Delta. Okay, so I've got the ailerons is all the way into wind. I'm applying 50% thrust, just making sure everything looks good. Getting no warnings. So I'm going to release the brakes, apply the power, takeoff thrust is set. Utilising the rudders to keep me straight. The ailerons are into wind. 50 knots. T's and P's are good, all in the green. 75. There's 85. Roll out the aileron. Pitch, and there you go. So it pitches into wind. Gears, brakes on off. Gears going up. Going to about 7.5 degrees up. Let it accelerate a little bit. Bit of trim forward. Aircraft's climbing away quite nicely. We're above 115. Flaps are going to go to the up position. Nice, I'm climbing away. Going to keep that 7.5 degrees pitch up. Just while it accelerates, the flight director now comes down towards me. Climbing up towards 165 knots, which I'm quite happy with. And then I'm going to go autopilot on. Throttle comes back to MCT. I'm going to go direct to Aberdeen. Activate that into nav, and the aircraft will turn right. Actually cleared us for a right turn. We're climbing flight level 100. So thrust levers MCT, engine temperature pressures are all good in the green. Cabin is starting to pressurise, ice protection, we've just got the pitot on at the moment, and transition, we'll do that as we go through flight level 50.
134 Echo Delta, report passing flight level 50.
Report passing flight level 50, November 34 Echo Delta. See the wind turbines down there, a huge amount of wind turbines we have here in the UK, all out in the sea, and they're all down there. Yeah, lovely day, a lot better than I thought it was going to be honest. So it's nice. I knew there was sort of waves of weather coming through, and that's why the winds are starting to pick up as well. It's good to get through here today. It's forecasting in Scotland 70-mile-an-hour winds tomorrow, so it's good to get in and out of Scotland today, that's for sure. November 34 Echo Delta is passing flight level 50.
November 34 Echo Delta, Roger, contact Scottish Control 134.850.
Over to Scottish 134.850, 4 Echo Delta, bye bye. So over Scotland now, cloud is sort of broken up here, we're just passing flight level.
November 34 Echo Delta, direct now for ASCAM, Alpha Sierra Kilo Alpha Mike.
Direct ASCAM, November 34 Echo Delta. Yeah, there's ASCAM there, fantastic. Direct to button, which is just there. There you go, we'll activate that, so just down the bottom. Activate ASCAM. Got a left hand turn, GPS, plane turning left. Marvellous, that's a little bit of a shortcut for us. And the nice thing about that as well, as we turn left, is actually helping us with our tailwind as well, which is perfect. That's going up there. So yeah, so just passing flight level 260, we're getting the flash on the outbug saying that we've got 1,000 foot to go, and then we'll get the bing at 200 feet to go.
124.5, Nordic 1640, good day.
That's nice, flying up nicely there. Just starting to level off, but enjoying the Scottish view while we can before we enter the clouds over there. And, not a bad day actually. Things doing well so far. Here we can see all the weather that is actually off to the west, so escaping from that weather. That's the weather that's due here tomorrow. It's going to be bringing like 70-mile-an-hour wings. So there's the bing. Just leveling off. Just double checking ourselves that we're going to level off. Flight level 270. There we go. Altitude select has taken over. Plane's leveling off. We're at max continuous thrust, so the aircraft will start accelerating. And I'll just go. Thrust is good. Ice protection we don't need at the moment. However, looks like we're going to go into some cloud there very shortly, so I'm just going to put the engine IPS on anyway. And we're not in RVSM airspace. And the next thing will be our descent. So we're just coming up in towards this cloud layer just in front of us. There is a couple of things on the screen here, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to split the screen here by putting in the half button. And then I'm just going to move the pane knob over to get the blue over there, so the blue before we do. And I'm just going to go onto weather. That will put this up onto the weather radar. I'm going to push the weather selection again, and then into weather radar settings. I'm just going to go auto and just power up the radar, just so we can see what's going on with this satellite weather in front of us. This is still like maybe, that's 40 miles, so if I click that over there, I can see there that that's probably about 75 miles away. So we can check out here as this weather on the satellite weather gets a little bit closer to us to see whether or not we've got any issues with the weather in front of us. So the auto radar is fantastic. It takes away the clutter, the ground clutter, when we're utilising the radar. coffee time at 27,000 feet, just over, well, the North Sea actually, halfway between Wick and Groningen. Looking good. So a little bit of coffee, a few macaroons which we got from Knoxville, and a bit of coffee. So can't go too bad. As we're on the cruise, we're just over an hour to go. About 45 minutes to run now to Groningen. And we're just having a little look here at the weather that comes through our Connect system. So here we can see the EHGG. We've got a little magenta flag on there, which means it's not brilliant. So we click on there, we go waypoint information, we tap into weather, METAR raw, and we can see here that we've got the weather at 1255. It's now 1312, so it's about 20 minutes old or so. And the auto weather there, 200 at 15, which is good because the runway's 23, and it's varying around a little bit. 7,000 meters, overcast at 400 feet, 6 and 5, the temperature and dew point. QNH is 1013, and then no significant change, so that's a good thing that we've got no significant change on there. So what we're going to do, oops, always push one of the wrong buttons somewhere on the line. So what I'm going to do on here is I'm just going to go frequencies, and I'm just going to go onto my ATIS frequency here, put that into the standby COM2, because I just want to listen to the guard frequency for the moment on there, so just having a listen while we're over the sea and the guard frequency. But what we can do is we can have a little look and see what procedures we have available. So procedure is ILS runway 23, and we have a few options on here. So what I'm going to do is just going to go onto my iPad, just go into charts, import the charts there, and we'll have a look on here. You go into approach, and there's an RMP or an ILS for runway 23, so let's have a look at the ILS for 23 on there. And here we've got Zombie, so we're coming in from sort of this direction here, so probably Zombie is going to be the most probable initial approach fix that we're going to use. So there's Zombie, so we can tap on Zombie, ILS23, Zombie, Minimas. We can have a look on here, down on Minimas, 213, so 200 above the ground, which is good. So we've got overcast at 400 feet, so that'll work out quite nicely for us. And the primary frequency, the GRO 109.9, 109.9, so that's there, the GRO. That's looking good. So now we're just going to load that into the system, and then now we have the approach loaded, ready to activate when we go in towards Zombie. So still at flight level 270, about 38 minutes to run. We can flip this over.
Operational report. Tower and approach combined.
Right, so you've got the ATIS there.
Information kilo. This is ILDA information kilo.
Maintain present heading, November 34, Echo Delta. Okay, so it says maintain present heading, so I'm just going to make sure the sync mode is on here anyway, which is great because that's going to be the heading that we're currently flying. So what I'm going to do is just push the heading button here, go into heading mode, that switches over from GPS to heading, and the plane stays on its present heading. Good.
70 and 230 degrees, 21 knots maximum, 9 knots minimum, visibility 7 kilometers, clouds overcast 400 feet, temperature 6, dew point 5, QNH 1013 hectopascal, MUSIG, operational report, tower and approach combined, acknowledge information kilo.
I'll just have a listen to fill in the gaps that I missed on that one.
This is ILDA information kilo. Main landing runway 23. Transition level 45. Runway 23 condition report at time 1045. Runway condition code 555. First part 100%. Wet.
So it's been raining there, so we've got wet runway.
Wet. Third part 100%. Wet. Wind 210 degrees. 14 knots. Variable between 170 and 230 degrees, 21 knots maximum, 9 knots minimum. Visibility 7 kilometers.
Good.
Clouds over past 400 feet.
Okay, so we've got wind 14 knots, gusting up to 21, varying around a bit, but we've got runway 23 and overcast 400 feet, just as the Connect's weather said. So that's good. So we're all prepped with the approach. All we've got to do now is wait for our descent path to come on, and we'll be starting our descent in about 21 minutes with about 35 minutes to go. Flying into the sunshine, got to enjoy this while we can. Got a new updated weather information mic, still runway 23, but now we've got 2,300 meters, mist broken at 300 feet. It does still say no significant change, so hopefully that will sort of stay as it is. So we're currently descending down through flight level 150 down to flight level 80. We've now got a direct to Groningen, which is great. That's taken a beer there in about 9 minutes, and so we're on our way in. We've got our minimas at the airport here, are going to be sort of 200 feet above the ground, so 213, so yeah, so we should break cloud with about 100 foot or so to go, and we've got an RVR of 550 meters here when using the autopilot, so that's good. So yeah, as long as it stays as it is, then we shouldn't have any problem coming in on the ILS for runway 23.
Kilo 1654, radio speed at 250.
So we get find out exactly what they're doing.
Leo 310 Papa, descent, flight level 70.
Okay, so about to enter the cloud. We've got the engine IPS is on. It's -6 outside, so making sure that we protect the engine, heating up that D-ring. We're also, as we descend in, it's a prime temperature for getting ice on the wings, so we'll keep an eye on the wings as we come down as well. Just going to start slowing the aircraft down a little bit as well, so we're doing 230 knots. I'm just going to slow ourselves down to 210 just as we come down. Also, I'm going to quick look on the wings, they look okay.
That was Avia 5820, radio speed at 230 knots.
230, Avia 5820.
November 3 for Echo Delta, contact the order approach on 120.305.
120.305, for Echo Delta, bye-bye.
KLM 690.
Okay, so got that selected in, just get that up. Order approach, hello, November 3 for Echo Delta is passing flight level 96, for flight level 80 we have information Mike 1013.
November 3 for Echo Delta, Ilde, hello, turn left heading 045, that's right and downwind for ILS runway 23, descent at 2,000 feet, QNH 1013, information Mike.
Roger, left under 045 and, sorry, descent to 2,500 was that?
Negative, all the way down to 2,000 feet on the standard QNH 1013.
Roger, down to 2,000 feet, heading 045 on 1013, November 3 for Echo Delta. Okay, so I can change that over, it's the same standard as we're doing there, so that's great. So it's going to be vectors, and we can see over here that we've got the inbound, our track is sort of taking us downwind. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to push the procedure button, and then I'm going to activate vectors to finals. And then what that's done is on the MFD, we can see here that we've got the inbound course in towards the final approach fix. That draws a 30 nautical mile line there. We're tracking downwind, and when we go down there, come around, and we're going all the way down to 2,000 feet. The altitude select arc there, the blue arc is just showing us where we were going to be at 2,000 feet. So it's looking good. Over on the PFD, we have the localizer now is displayed with GRO 109.9, and we've got the DME down there as well. That's looking good. So as far as my approach brief is concerned, I can have a look at my chart. So I've got 120.305, which is what we're on at the moment, and we're going to go 118.705 is going to be my next frequency for the tower, although the ATIS did say that those frequencies were combined. So I've activated vectors to finals. I've got vectors to finals going to the final approach fix there, the Golf 512, and I can see on here on my chart Golf 512, that's at 2,000 feet, so that's perfect. And my minimas 213, my minimas are up here on the PFD of 213, the localizer and the frequency is set. We do have DME on this aircraft, so in fact what I can do is I can go into audio radios here, select down, go to DME, and then listen to the Morse code for the DME, so we'll listen to that. Yeah, so Morse code is on here, and that was Golf Romeo Oscar, the Morse code, because the DME doesn't actually have a visible ident like the Golf Romeo Oscar does on the ILS, so the DME needs to be listened to for the ident, because it's on a different channel. Perfect. So passing 3,700 for 2,000 feet, we're going to go back into the cloud again. We've still got the engine IPS on, it's 6 degrees, and we're coming down quite nicely to 2,000 feet. We're expecting to do a right turn, and what I'm going to do now also is I'm just going to start slowing the plane down into FMS. So I've got an FMS on there, 180 knots, and the plane is going to start slowing ourselves down downwind. Very good. So approach briefing is complete. We're all strapped in and seats are upright. Ice protection, I've just got the engine IPS on at the moment, which I'll turn off shortly. Interestingly, it's 8 degrees up here, and it's actually 6 degrees on the ground, so it's a little bit cooler further down we go. Here comes 2,000 feet with the Bing. Lights are all on, strobe and landing light. Flaps I'm going to come down to 50% very shortly. As I turn onto a base leg, I'll then select 50% flap. So that's going to be the next thing on the checklist. A few little bumps, but nothing to worry about. Wind is pretty much straight down the runway, maybe about 20 degrees off. And maybe gusting up a little bit to 20 knots, so that's not going to cause too much of a problem for us. Spatial awareness wise, this is amazing, you know, with the aircraft flying there, with my track vector being displayed, and I can see where I've got to come around, so expecting these vectors around onto the final approach track.
November Echo Delta, turn right heading 160, base.
Right onto 160, November 34 Echo Delta. Okay, so 160 on the heading. There I can see this come around. It's getting a little bit choppy now, so what I'm going to do also is just going to lower one stage of flap. So the flap's going down. FMS is going to bring us back down to 140 knots. The aircraft's turning right quite happily. And we can see on the MFD, our track vector is bringing us around to try and intercept the inbound course. Be nice. So expecting to break cloud at probably about 100 foot to go to our minimas. So we'll be aware of that. And in the event of a go around, we're going to climb on track to 2,000 feet. And then contact ATC. So basically we're just going to climb away 230 degrees to 2,000 feet in the event of a go around. Expecting one more turn to the right shortly. At a guess, probably onto about 200 degrees, and then to intercept.
November Echo Delta, turn right heading 215 to intercept, cleared ILS approach runway 23.
Right onto 215 to intercept and cleared for the ILS 23, November 34 Echo Delta. So 215 degrees I put up on here on the heading bug. He's cleared us for the approach, so I'm going to push the approach button on the autopilot. And what that's done now is with heading active, localizer is armed, 2,000 feet with a glide slope, and that should intercept the localizer. The glide slope will come down to half scale deflection, and I'll go gear down. So speed's quite happy there at 140. My intercept here, I always have a look here, making sure that my intercept track is actually going to intercept the magenta line before the final approach fix. Otherwise, it's difficult to go, we can't go down the glide slope until we're intercepted on the localizer. So this track here is intercepting before we get to the glide path intercept. So that's good. Flaps are set, airspeed is good, and then landing gear is the next checklist. So here comes the CDI just coming in. We're tracking there. Just going to see now the localizer will take over. There we go. And the aircraft now is turning to intercept the localizer. Glide path is starting to come down. Going to synchronize my heading bug, so that's in sync mode now, so that will adjust itself as according to our drift. And here's half scale deflection on the glide slope, so I'm now going to put the gear to the down position. I'm going to have 1, 2, 3 greens, no reds. Flaps are set, and when that intercepts and goes down the glide slope, I'm going to go full flap, just so we can stabilise ourselves at 95 all the way down. So here comes the glide slope intercept. Flaps are going to 100. FMS says 95, and aircraft is pitching down the glide slope. And I'm going to start stopping. That's it. November 34 Echo Delta is fully established.
November Echo Delta, wind 20014, maximum 100, runway 23, clear to land.
Runway 23, clear to land, November 34 Echo Delta. Okay, great, so we've got 5 miles to go. Plane slowing down quite happily. Speed is coming back. We're on course on the localizer. We're on the glide slope. We're passing 1,700 feet for 213. We've got the gear down and locked. We've got the flaps are 100%. Cabin differential pressure is now on 0.8. Windshield IPS we don't have on. Still in the thick of it at the moment, as we expect. Even though the autopilot and the auto throttle is flying the aircraft, we're always scanning, we're always making sure that we're watching what's going on. At any time you might have, an autopilot failure or something not happen correctly, so we're always scanning. Always have my hand on the control column, my hand is just gently on the auto throttle, feeling the auto throttle move, and trying to keep myself scanning with 95 knots. Localizer, we're on course. We're on the glide slope. We're passing 1,400 feet for 213. So everything's looking nice as far as that's concerned. And on my peripheral vision, I'm sort of looking out to see if I can start seeing any ground references as I come down. But I'm not expecting to see anything really, maybe for another 1,000 feet. But keeping myself aware of that. So passing 1,000 feet, we have 2,000 foot set on our altitude bug in case we need to go around, and we do have 3 greens. The flaps are set and the pressurization is coming down towards 0. So 3 miles to run. Well, it's waving around quite a bit, that's, so just watching the speed dropping off a little bit, but the aircraft is reacting to that and putting a bit of power on. So speed's still good, if not fluctuating quite a lot. Localizer's good. We're on course. or on the glide slope. We've got 900 for 213, so we've got about 700 foot to go. Still in the cloud. Keeping that scan going. Two miles to run, 700 feet, looking for 213. Just starting to see a little bit of sort of movement of the cloud there out my left hand window, so seeing the cloud sort of breaking up a little bit. Auto throttle is working to keep the aircraft at 95 knots. We're 500 feet, got 300 feet to go.
500.
The 500 foot check. So we're coming down 480. Expecting to see the runway approach light shortly. Just starting to see the ground now down the side of the aircraft as well. 300 feet, there's the approach lights just appearing. There we go, look at that, amazing. 300 feet, we can see the runway. There we are on the Pappies. Coming down towards my minimas. Autopilot's going off.
Minimums.
3 greens, no reds, we're clear to land. Just starting to bring the speed back a little bit. Just dropping below the Pappies slightly, but that's okay, because I'm visual with the runway. Over the threshold, closing the throttle smoothly towards idle. Looking at the end of the runway, pitching the aircraft nicely. And settling down on the ground, on the centre line. Excellent. And I'm going to start braking, expecting to vacate just up here on the right hand side. November 34 Echo Delta, we were parking in General Enterprises.
November Echo Delta, taxi via Bravo to General Enterprises.
Bravo to General Enterprises 34 Echo Delta. Great, so we're just coming up now, we're going to vacate right here at Bravo, and then we'll taxi round to General Enterprises. Keep ourselves down at a good speed. Vacate right. Not touching anything, not lifting up any flaps, not turning off any lights. All the way round until we cross the holding line. Good, just crossing the holding line now, so flaps, confirming the flap lever, flaps are up. Wing stab, engine IPS is now off, pitot heat can now go off, and external lights, I'm just going to turn off my strobe. They're all good, and brakes work, just test those. Lovely. Fantastic, well that was a great display there of how we can utilise the system with the autopilot and the auto throttle coming down to almost minimalism, and we broke out at about 100 foot to go, just as the weather thought it would do, and it's a little bit murky and misty as you can see outside, but the aircraft did an amazing job, and we sorted ourselves out, kept ourselves scanning all the time, all the way down. So it's great. So I'm glad, I hope you enjoyed that little bit of videoing us coming into Groningen, and we're going to taxi in to Groningen, into General Enterprises, and get some more fuel, see customs, and then our next leg is down to Timisoara in Romania.
Okay, just been in to see customs here at Groningen. The new rules mean we need to get passports stamped, and also fingerprints done, and all sorts of things, and pictures taken. So I had to take off my hat. And yeah, so I'm all done. Just walking up now to General Enterprises in Groningen. the aircraft's out there, and we're going to get ourselves the paperwork, importation paperwork all sorted, and then we'll be fueled and on our way down to Romania. Hopefully won't take very long. Okay, so I've seen customs as far as me is concerned, and then the other customs have come over and seen the aeroplane as well. So we're just getting some fuel, just got to wait for our paperwork to come through, and then when the paperwork's come through, we can get out of here. So we're thinking that it might take half an hour, it might have taken 2 hours, we might have to stop here overnight, but in fact the customs guys have come and seen the aircraft, and it looks like we're pretty much good to go. Just got to wait for the official paperwork, and then we'll get going. So we might be running about half an hour late, so things are looking good so far.